Imagine for a second writing this huge, sweeping love song to the person who is finally pulling you out of the darkest, like most isolated moment of your life.
Right.
But then you realize the person you're actually singing to is a 400-year-old drowned Shakespearean noblewoman.
Which is just a wild concept to wrap your head around.
It totally is. And welcome, by the way, to today's deep dive. We are so glad you are here with us because today's mission is, frankly, massive.
Oh, absolutely. It's a behemoth.
We are going to unpack the cultural, the literary, and the musical leviathan that is Taylor Swift's October 3, 2025 lead single.
The one and only, The Fate of Ophelia.
Exactly. From her 12th studio album, The Life of a Showgirl. And we are drawing from a really fascinating stack of materials for you today.
We really went down the rabbit hole for this one.
We did. We've got a deep dive lyrical analysis from this amazing Substack called Taylor Swift Explained.
Yeah.
We've got comprehensive Wikipedia data that tracks the song's just like massive commercial footprint.
And the controversies, too. We can't forget those.
Oh, we will definitely get to the controversies. Plus, we're pulling fan theories straight from Reddit, insights from our campus, and a really unexpected art history breakdown from Gallery Magazine.
Which honestly might be my favorite part of this whole deep dive.
Same. Because at first glance, this track just seems like a straight-ahead love song about dating an American football player.
Very catchy love song, but still.
Right. A total bop. But as we dig in, we'll uncover 400-year-old Shakespearean tragedies, pre-Raphaelite art history, debates over feminist tropes, and even these crazy international AI and political controversies.
It really escalated quickly.
It really did. So, okay, let's unpack this. Listening to this track is honestly like looking at one of those magic eye posters.
Oh, I love that comparison.
Right, because first, you just see a catchy pop song. But if you look closer, a Shakespearean tragedy emerges. And if you look even closer than that, well, it's a meta-commentary on the entire music industry.
And what's fascinating here is that this complexity, it actually starts before you even hear a single lyric. It begins in the actual sonic landscape of the track.
Let's talk about that production because it is so deliberate.
It really is. So Max Martin and Shellback produced the track with Swift at MXM Studios in Stockholm.
Legends.
Absolutely. And the track clocks in at exactly 3 minutes and 46 seconds. But the sound itself is, it's this incredibly dense mix. It's dance pop, it's synth pop, it's funk, and it has this undeniable new wave groove.
But it doesn't start that way.
No, it doesn't. It starts with this super dramatic, almost cinematic drum roll.
And those minor key piano chords.
Exactly. And those minor chords instantly evoke her indie folklore era. So as a listener, you're bracing yourself for this devastating, stripped-down acoustic ballad.
Right, because it's called The Fate of Ophelia. You expect something sad.
But then the floor just totally drops out. It explodes into these cascading synthesizers, steel guitars, and this really driving bass line.
Wait, didn't you mention there was a really weird instrument buried in there too?
Oh yeah, the omnichord.
An omnichord. What even is that?
It's this very quirky electronic instrument from the 1980s. You basically strum a touch plate, and it produces this highly digitized synthetic harp sound.
Oh, wow. So she's layering that 80s plastic sound over a funk bass line.
Yes, and while all that massive production is happening, Swift is relying super heavily on her lower register in the verses.
Her lower register always feels so intimate.
Right, but the producers coded those low vocals in these heavy reverb effects, so her voice sounds simultaneously massive and yet whispering right in your ear.
Which honestly had the critics scrambling. I was reading the reviews, and Slate compared that opening drum roll to Fleetwood Mac's Dreams.
Which makes total sense.
And then Clash Magazine said the funk pop elements reminded them of Duffy's Mercy or Adele's Rumor Has It.
I can totally hear the Adele influence in the bass line.
Yeah, and then NPR was comparing the synths to Stevie Nicks' Stand Back and even the Eurythmics.
It's like a history lesson in pop music.
But wait, I have to ask. The song is literally named after a woman who tragically loses her mind and drowns.
Yes.
But it sounds like a 2000s funk pop banger. Isn't that intense cognitive dissonance?
Oh, it's 100% cognitive dissonance, and that is a classic pop music trick.
The Trojan horse approach.
Exactly. You hide these melancholic, super weighty themes inside a Trojan horse of a catchy, upbeat melody. It creates this glamorous tension.
Which perfectly mirrors the whole theme of the album, right?
Spot on. The life of a showgirl is all about forcing a smile while you're under the stadium lights, no matter how much pain you're in.
So to truly understand that tension in the music,
Yeah.
we really have to look at the tragic figure who actually inspired the title.
We have to talk about Ophelia.
Right. So for anyone listening who maybe hasn't read William Shakespeare's Hamlet since high school,
Or ever.
or ever, exactly, let's do a quick refresher. In the original 400-year-old text, Ophelia is romantically involved with Prince Hamlet.
But things do not go well.
They really don't. Hamlet brutally rejects her, famously telling her to go to a nunnery, and then, to make things infinitely worse, Hamlet accidentally murders Ophelia's father, Polonius.
Which is just a horrific sequence of events for her.
Truly. So, driven completely mad by this awful combination of grief and rejection, Ophelia tragically drowns in a river.
And Swift brings this narrative directly into the song. In verse 2, she sings, and I'm quoting here, "The eldest daughter of a nobleman, Ophelia, lived in fantasy, but love was a cold bed full of scorpions. The venom stole her sanity."
Okay, that lyric is incredible. But the Substack source pointed out something about the scorpions line that completely blew my mind.
The double meaning, it's so brilliant.
Because it's not actually a reference to Hamlet at all, is it?
No, it's a subtle, deliberate reference to an entirely different Shakespeare play. It's from Macbeth.
Oh, full of scorpions is my mind, dear wife.
Exactly, and you have to ask yourself, why Macbeth?
Right, why cross the streams like that?
Well, think about why Macbeth's mind was full of scorpions. It wasn't about romantic rejection. He was terrified of being replaced on the throne by Banquo's heirs.
Oh, wow.
The scorpions represent paranoia, and the author of the Substack extrapolates that Swift is using this to channel her own well-documented anxiety.
Her anxiety about the pop music hierarchy.
Yes. The fear of being surpassed, of being replaced by the next young star. The venom isn't just a bad romance. It's the toxic nature of fame.
So Swift is basically writing self-insert fan fiction here, right?
Pretty much.
Because just like she rewrote Romeo and Juliet to have a happy ending in her old song Love Story, she's giving Ophelia a rescue mission here.
That is exactly what she's doing. In the song's narrative, Ophelia doesn't die.
Thank goodness.
Right, the lover actually digs her out of her grave. It's a very deliberate misreading of the Shakespearean text.
She is prioritizing romantic hope over this, inevitable tragedy.
But while the rescuer in the song seems really obvious on the surface, a deeper look at the lyrics reveals multiple layers of who is actually doing the saving.
Well, let's start with the surface meaning, because that's the one the general public completely latched onto.
The football player interpretation.
Exactly. The most public narrative is that the song is a love letter to her husband, American football player Travis Kelce.
And there is a lot of lyrical evidence for that.
So much. Like in the chorus, she sings, "Keep it 100 on the land, the sea, the sky."
Which is very specific.
Super specific. "Keep it 100 is literally Kelce's personal catchphrase on his podcast. And the land, the sea, the sky is clearly a nod to her jet setting around the world for the Eras Tour to go see him.
And it gets even more direct. She sings, "Pledge allegiance to your hands, your team, your vibes."
Your team. I mean, come on.
You can't get much more football coded than that.
And she even leaned into this publicly. I remember her appearance on the New Heights podcast back in August 2025.
Oh, when she was joking about explaining the play to him.
Yes. She joked that she had to literally sit down and explain Hamlet to Kelce so he would understand the song.
So she's feeding the public this very specific narrative. But the subtext is where it gets incredibly layered.
And this is where we turn to the fans on Reddit, because they do not miss a trick.
Never. The fans argued that the "you" in the song is actually much broader. They think it's Taylor talking to herself and also to her fan base.
Let's talk about that self-reliance angle first. I'm looking at this excerpt from the pre-chorus. She sings, "I swore my loyalty to me, myself, and I feel that heart, right before you lit my sky up."
And the Substack analysis really dives into this. They argue that verse 1 is entirely about her independent era.
Right, relying on her own agency.
Exactly. She had to engineer her own happiness and save her own career long before romantic love ever arrived to, light her sky up.
But here's where it gets really interesting. We aren't just hearing a love song to a guy, or even just to herself. We're hearing a love song to the audience that funded her resilience.
The fan element theory is honestly brilliant.
It blew my mind when I read it. So let's look at the chorus excerpt. "Late one night, you dug me out of my grave and saved my heart from the fate of Ophelia."
Now, connect that back to Hamlet. Who actually digs Ophelia's grave in the play?
It's the grave diggers.
Right. But in Shakespeare's original text, in the stage directions, what are those grave diggers explicitly called?
They're called clowns.
Clowns.
Which is just, it's insane. Because what do Swift's fans famously call themselves online?
They call themselves clowns.
Whenever they are theorizing or overanalyzing a music video, they say they are clowning.
Exactly. So in Hamlet, the clowns dig Ophelia's grave and she dies. But in Swift's world, her clowns, her fans, they dig her OT of her grave.
They literally saved your career.
Through the massive success of the Eras Tour and buying the re-recordings of her masters.
It is such a genius flip of the original text. The layered meaning between the public performance and the private reality is just masterful.
And she made that layered meaning explicitly literal in the visual accompaniment for the song.
Oh, the music video. We have to talk about the music video.
It was a massive visual spectacle.
It really was. It didn't just drop on YouTube. It premiered in theaters as part of this huge event called the official release party of a showgirl.
She self-directed it, right?
She did. And she used all her dancers and crew from the Eras Tour. The video opens in this gorgeous, historic Los Angeles theater.
Setting that stage for the showgirl theme right away.
Exactly. And then she takes us on this wild, time-traveling sequence of different showgirls throughout history.
It's a very specific historical lineup she chose, too.
It is. We see her as a Marilyn Monroe burlesque performer. We see her as a 1960s Ronnie Spector go-go dancer.
Which carries its own heavy baggage about the music industry.
Totally. She also channels Sarah Bernhardt, the famous stage actress.
Yeah.
And there's this huge Esther Williams, Busby Berkeley-style synchronized swimming number.
Don't forget the Elizabeth Taylor rope dress.
Yes. And it all builds to this massive Bob Mackie-style sequined routine.
But it's the ending of the video that really ties everything back to the lyrics.
Right, because it shifts from all that glitz and glamour to something much darker.
The very last shot, which actually became the album cover, features Swift fully clothed, but she's half submerged in a bathtub.
Which brings us to the art history portion of our deep dive.
Courtesy of Gallery magazine.
Yes, that bathtub image is a direct reference to the pre-Raphaelite art movement. Specifically, John Everett Millay's 1851 painting called Ophelia, which is at Tate Britain.
And also Friedrich Heiser's painting of Ophelia from around 1900.
Right. But the backstory of the Millay painting is what's truly crazy here.
It's a very dark piece of art history. So Millay used a model named Elizabeth Siddall for the painting.
And he wanted it to look realistic, so he made her actually lie in a bathtub full of water.
Fully clothed in a studio in London during the winter.
Which sounds miserable.
It was. To keep the water warm, he put oil lamps underneath the bathtub.
Okay, that sounds incredibly dangerous.
Well, the lamps actually went out.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And Millay was so hyper-focused on his painting that he didn't notice, and Siddall didn't complain. She just lay there in the freezing water.
Just suffering for the art.
Exactly. She ended up catching a severe cold, likely pneumonia, and nearly died. Her father was furious and actually threatened to sue the artist for medical bills.
So Swift is comparing the modern music industry to a 19th century painter literally freezing his female muse for the sake of art.
That's the metaphor.
That is a brutal metaphor for fame. Like, the artist or the public wants the beautiful product, but they don't care if the muse is literally dying in the process.
Which makes total sense when you look at how much she's fought for her own agency recently.
But wait, if she's so aware of the toxic nature of being a muse or a showgirl, how did the critics react to the song's ultimate message? Because it caused a huge debate, right?
That question gets right to the heart of the main controversy surrounding the track's reception.
Let's start with the praise, because there was a lot of it.
Oh, commercially and sonically, it was universally acclaimed.
Right. Rolling Stone ranked it number 8 on their list of the 100 best songs of 2025. They called the melody tantalizing, and Billboard ranked it at number 14.
So the music critics loved the sound.
But the cultural critics had a totally different reaction to the lyrics. It sparked this fierce debate over the thematic implications.
And it all centered around the chorus.
Right. I'm going to read the excerpt that caused all the trouble. All that time I sat alone in my tower. You're just honing your powers. Now I can see it all. Late one night, you dug me out of my grave.
It was that specific tower imagery that set people off.
Why did that make them so mad?
Well, critics like Lindsay Zolads from the New York Times and Ludovic Hunter-Tilney from the Financial Times, they found the lyrics really dispiriting.
Dispiriting. How so?
They argued that Swift failed a progressive feminist test.
Oh, because of the damsel in distress thing.
Exactly. They felt she took the tragic, highly complex figure of Ophelia and essentially reduced her to a Rapunzel-like Disney princess.
Just waiting in a tower for Prince Charming to show up and save her.
Right. They were asking, why does this billionaire, incredibly powerful pop star need to write a narrative where a man saves her?
But there was a massive counter-argument to that.
Right. Yes. There was a very strong defense from the psychological community, actually.
Yeah, Whitney Corson, the psychotherapist who wrote that piece in Psychology Today.
Yes. Coulson completely defended the track. She argued that the song perfectly captures how a woman's valid pain under patriarchy is handled by society.
It gets rewritten as instability or madness.
Exactly. In the original play, Ophelia is abused and gaslit by the men in her life, but they just dismiss her as crazy.
It's a convenient label.
And Coulson said Swift is tapping into that. If we connect this to the bigger picture, Swift isn't necessarily endorsing the damsel in distress trope.
She's using it to make a point.
Yes, she's utilizing a known literary archetype to explain how the public views female trauma.
Like, society demands the female pop star be a tragic victim in a tower, rather than acknowledging her actual systemic trauma.
It's a very meta reading, but it holds a lot of water.
Well, regardless of whether critics thought she was being anti-progressive or deeply metaphorical, the public completely devoured this song.
At an unprecedented volume.
The numbers are staggering. We are talking 30 million Spotify streams in a single day.
Which was a record.
A huge record. And it's been 10 non-consecutive weeks at #1 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100.
Her longest-running #1 ever?
And it hit #1 in over 26 territories. But it wasn't just radio play. It caused these wild, real-world viral trends.
The museum boom.
Yes. Because of the music video referencing that Friedrich Heiser painting, fans literally flocked to the museum Wiesbaden in Germany.
Which is so funny, a pop song causing a stampede at a fine art museum.
The Minister of Science in Germany actually had to officially invite Swift to the museum because the impact was so massive.
And it wasn't just museums. The choreography from the video went everywhere.
Oh yeah, the Prime Minister of Australia, Anthony Albanese, was literally doing the viral choreography on the radio.
It was inescapable. But when a song gets that big, the artist loses control of who uses it.
Which brings us to the political backlash.
Yes. And before we dive into this, we just want to make it expressly clear to you, the listener, that we are merely reporting the events from the sources.
Absolutely. We are taking no sides in any political disputes here. We are just stating what happened.
Right. So on November 4th, 2025, the White House TikTok account for Donald Trump's administration posted a video.
A highly patriotic video featuring the military and the U.S. flag.
And the audio they used for this video was The Fate of Ophelia.
Which was a massive deal because Trump had a very known, very public anti-Swift stance at the time.
Exactly. So using her song was a very deliberate choice.
And when the magazine Variety asked the White House for a comment on why they did it, the response was wild.
It was very blunt.
A White House official literally stated, and I quote, "We made this video because we knew fake news media brands like Variety would breathlessly amplify them. Congrats, you got played."
They knew the contradiction would generate outrage and clicks.
And it worked. It sparked massive backlash from social media users and Swift's fan base, who were furious to see the song used that way.
It's the danger of a song becoming that ubiquitous.
It's wild, though. Like, she writes a song about taking back control of her life and her masters, and immediately the song gets co-opted by a political campaign.
And that wasn't even the only time her control was hijacked.
Right. The AI controversy.
This one is honestly terrifying for the music industry. In December 2025, this Portuguese version of the song suddenly appeared online.
Titled A Cena de Ophelia.
Yes. But it wasn't a cover. It was entirely AI generated. And the AI used fake vocals that perfectly resembled two massive Brazilian artists, Luísa Sonza and Dilcinho.
So it sounded exactly like a real high-budget collaboration.
It sounded flawless. It went so viral on TikTok and streaming that it actually hit number 85 on the official Brazil Hot 100 chart.
A completely fake, machine-generated song charted on Billboard.
Yes. It was eventually identified and scrubbed from the internet, but it sparked this massive industry-wide legal panic.
Because who owns that?
Exactly. It sparked a huge legal debate about AI ownership rights and protecting an artist's vocal likeness.
The irony is staggering, right? She spent years re-recording her albums to own her voice, and then bots just steal it, replace her vocals, and chart with it anyway.
It just proves that once art enters the public domain at that scale, the artist loses control of the narrative.
So as we wrap up, we want to bring this back to you, the listener. Why does all this matter to you?
Beyond just being a fascinating pop culture moment.
Right. It matters because The Fate of Ophelia is honestly a masterclass in how pop culture processes history.
It really is.
It shows us how a 19th century painting and a 16th century play can be completely repurposed to explain the modern, uniquely isolating experience of 21st century megafilm.
It proves that our oldest stories are still the templates we use to understand our lives today.
Exactly. But it also leaves us with a final, really provocative thought to mull over.
Right. Think about this. Swift deliberately rewrote Ophelia's tragedy to give her a savior and a happy ending.
She retconned the sadness out of it.
Exactly. But if our pop culture constantly demands that we retcon tragedies so that love always wins and the hero is always saved, what does that do to our ability to accept and process actual, inescapable grief in the real world?
Wow. If we only consume happy endings, we forget how to deal with real pain.
Exactly. So next time you hear a happy ending on the radio, ask yourself what darker truth is the upbeat tempo trying to hide?
That is such a profound point to end on. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a blast.
We encourage you to keep questioning the media you consume, and we will catch you on the next one.